I'm going to talk about resonance. So resonance is where you actually resound the sound in your body. So you want to be able to feel the vibrations from the sound where you're placing it, from the sound placement. So let's first start with the head voice. So as the name indicates, the resonance is in the head. And I like to think of it as centering the sound between my ears, in the back of my throat. I visualize like a small red ball that's centered right in the back of my throat between my ears. And if I do it correctly, I can actually feel the vibration in that spot, kind of in my ears. So the sound itself sounds very much like a flute. So I'm thinking I'm a flute and concentrating on the red ball. And you'll see it even sounds something like a flute. Now, just because I'm doing a flute voice doesn't mean that I can only use this resonance in a high range. I can do it in a low range too. And that's how I get those really soft, nice, thick, low notes. Not so much as a chest voice. So we'll talk about that when we come to it, but we're going to work from the top down. Okay, so a flute voice is like so you see it does sound rather like a flute. Now you can do it on any vowel. It doesn't have to be an oo. Like ho, ho, ha, 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 so that's a flute voice. Now what we're going to do is a nasal quality voice, which we'll call a clarinet, because it does sound more like a clarinet. So in order to get a nasal voice, I'm not going to put my tongue up like this, because that sure enough is going to send it right out my nose and give me a nasal voice. But that's not the kind of nasal voice I want. I do want to feel the vibration right here in this part of my face. But I'm going to have my tongue down. Now, if I bring my tongue up, it'll automatically go up my nose. But at least that way you can start to feel what it feels like when you get that vibration in here, see? See my tongue? Now I can feel that vibration. Right in here. But that's not the kind of sound I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the sound, focus the sound in this area in my face, but I can keep my tongue down. So now that's singing through the mask. So like much shriller sounding. It's in a mouth voice. A low one. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Ooh, I slipped into a mouth voice, didn't I? Can you tell when I hit the mouth voice and when I had the nasal clarinet? Ah, 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 ah. Okay, so if I don't pull my lips up, I can still do it. So look, here's the mouth voice. Ah. Here's the nasal voice. Ah. See the difference? There's quite a few different nasal voices. One is a high palate reverb, at least I call it that, and that's where I think about my mouth being the downstairs floor, the roof of my mouth, the floor between, and my nasal cavity is the upstairs. So I'm going to send sound right down along the roof of my mouth, and I can change it and send it right across the top of my palate on the inside of my nose also. Kind of fun to switch it back and forth. Now this is not using my lips. If I use my lips, I can also change the quality of the sound on the same note. So if I'm, say, at the final ending of a song and I want it to be scintillating, I'll start in the mouth voice and then change towards the end into a nasal sound. So I can do that and at the same time pull my lips back and brighten the sound even more. Because if my lips are forward, it softens the sound. If my lips are back, ah, it brightens the sound. Ah, which is kind of fun to fool around with. Make yourself sound like a trombone. Wah, wah, like that. So anyway, back to the nasal sounds. So here's an example of like a high palate reverb.